Hey everyone, welcome back. Making another video here once again. A topic I've been meaning to make a video for about for a while now, and it's basically what I feel in any sort of story. What makes a good villain in any sort of media, whether it's a movie or an anime or a TV show or a video game or whatever. I actually have an article here online that I'm going to read off, and then I'm going to give my take on the article and my take on the whole topic in general about a good villain. That article is titled 6 Tips on How to Create a Villain with Depth, starring Alan Rickman. If you have a villain in your story, then here's some great advice from one of the best villain actors ever, Alan Rickman, Snape in Harry Potter. You must check out. As far as I'm concerned, I'm not playing the villain. I'm playing somebody who wants certain things in life. He made certain choices and goes after them. And here he repeats. Okay. I'm not playing the villain. I'm just playing somebody who has a certain checklist of things that he wants in life and goes after them. And other people decide that is appalling and has to be stopped. Alan Rickman isn't in denial there. He's pointed out a key piece of advice for creating your villain. No one goes through life thinking, I'm the bad guy. Even Mother Gothel, okay. From what I can see, there are two types of villains. Number one is the baddie who just loves being bad. This is your basic serial killer type villain who kills just for the pure pleasure of it. They have no qualms about what they are doing, and most of their thinking doesn't quite match up with society. He's got sociopathic tendencies. Think Heath Ledger's version of the Joker. This is the person who does things just because he can. Number two, the baddie who doesn't realize he's a baddie. This type of villain can range across the spectrum. It's the person who wants to know the answer and will do whatever it takes to get that answer, including torturing or killing innocent people. It's the person who sacrifices morals when the need arises. So I'd honestly compare that to like Pain from Naruto in a way. When we look at The Mummy and its sequel, we'll ignore the third since it's just weird. We see two couples deeply in love. On the good side, you have the flashy American hero Rick and his girl, Evie. And the baddies are the mummies, Imhotep and his girl, what's her name? Rick is a great hero, but he doesn't have qualms with killing people. He's good in a fight, but when it comes down to it, he usually makes the right decisions. He does anything to protect his family, and a complex hero that we love to cheer for. Now, Imhotep loves his girl so much, death cannot separate them. He resurrects the girl's spirit in her reincarnated body so that they can be together. But in the end, she gives into selfishness, and instead of saving Imhotep, she runs away to save herself. But if you go back to the beginning of the story, their whole relationship was based on mutual goals and mutual selfishness. In the first movie, Imhotep selfishly wants his girl back, and he is willing to sacrifice another girl to get that. As tempting as that is, could you see Rick doing that same thing to get Evie back? Yes I could actually. Every character you write faces one choice after another. Will they follow the values that society has given us? Trustworthy, yeah, right. Loyal, yeah, right. Helpful, yeah, right. Friendly, yeah, right. Courteous, yeah, right. Kind, yeah, right. Obedient, yeah, right. Cheerful, yeah, right. Thrifty, yeah, right. Clean, yeah, right. And reverent, yeah, right. All those are fucking lies where I come from. Or will they follow their own selfish desires? Will they help a fallen comrade even if it means they would die as well? Or will they leave a man behind to save their own skin? The more you switch up these characteristics in your protagonist and villain, the more complex your characters will be. A good example of this is Firefly, where the characters are essentially murderers and thieves, but wait, they are the good guys. They are loyalty to each other and fight for what they feel and what the audience would agree is right. I would also compare something like that to like the Sly Cooper series, in which the main characters are essentially all thieves, but they are very loyal to one another and would happily risk their lives to save one another. So yeah. Here are some further tips to consider when creating your villain. Match your villain to your story. Number 1, match your villain to your story. Now when you are creating a villain for your novel, it's important that your villain matches your story. You can't have a Hannibal Lecter in a YA romance. It just doesn't fit. So when considering your story, think on the scale where your villain falls. From schoolyard bully to serial killer, there is a wide range to pick from. Number 2, make the villain as three-dimensional as your protagonist. Give the villain backstory, which might include a traumatic event that led him to being a villain. That could be their motivation for making the choices they do. You don't have to add that to your story, but it will help flesh out the character in your mind, which will come across on the page. Number 3, add the good to the bad. Remember the flesh of your character, and a good villain isn't purely evil. They have good attributes mixed in there as well. You know that old saying, to show the villain kick a dog? Well, maybe have the villain love dogs, so he treats them better than he does humans. Number 4, what does the villain want? Usually the goal collides with what the protagonist wants, or something the goals are, or sometimes the goals are the same. An extreme example of this would be peace. But the villain will sacrifice horrible things to obtain that goal. Think Nazis where the ends justify the means. This is exactly what Alan Rickman was talking about. Again, as I said above, I would actually compare. That's exactly how Pain is when it comes to Pain and Naruto. Like, Naruto wants to create a peaceful world by means of peaceful ways and negotiation, where Pain just wants to force people to get along. Basically, he doesn't believe true peace exists. He believes people have to be forced, in essence, and he's willing to sacrifice millions of innocent lives just to achieve this. Or was, rather. Number 5, sincerity sells the character. You have to make the villain truly believe in what they are doing to make your villain believable. And number 6, remember the comeuppance. Okay. The villain has to be horrible the whole book, and the reader wants them to get what they deserve. That doesn't mean kill off your character. In the second Harry Potter book, Malfoy's comeuppance is when he loses his servant, Dobby, because Harry tricks him into giving Dobby clothes. After treating Dobby so horribly the whole book, we are so excited to see Malfoy go servantless for the rest of the series, and in some books this never does come around. Okay. Here's a thought for the day. Sherlock Holmes would have made the world's best villain, but instead he constantly chose to solve crimes instead of instigate them. Which is true, actually. He would have made the world's best fucking villain. If he chose to go that route, that is. So that's basically the article. I'll put a link to it in the description below in case you want to check it out for yourself. That article, I feel, was so masterfully put together, alright? What the hell? Alright, here we are. Yeah, that article I thought was so masterfully put together. Because everything it was saying was absolutely true. And it was talking about novels mainly because it had Alan Rickman, who basically wrote that article, but I'm pretty sure he did. But they can go for anything. Like I brought up Pain from Naruto 2 times because he really fell under the category they were giving there, which would be, you know, someone who wanted world peace but was willing to sacrifice horrible things to do it, you know, such as killing millions of innocent lives. Alright, and basically he wanted to start a whole entire war with the tailed beasts. And in the essence that the Akatsuki would be handing out the tailed beasts to nations, and they would battle wars with them, and when they saw the terrible power of the tailed beasts, they would basically stop fighting wars. He would have basically artificially made war obsolete because people would stop fighting wars. However, after a while, after the fear of war settled down, they would forget about it for the most part, and they would start fighting wars again, and then the tailed beast would come back into use again, and just an endless cycle, basically. Alright, he didn't believe that true peace was possible. He didn't believe that human beings were capable of understanding one another, and so he resorted to force. Alright, and that's the long-winded version of it, obviously. So what do I think makes a great villain? Well, there's nothing I can say that wasn't said in that article, because it was so fucking masterfully put together, alright? Like, although I think the greatest villain is the type of villain that the protagonist agrees with to a certain extent. Basically, the main protagonist, and maybe other protagonists in the series as well, can sympathize with. They understand, even if they don't agree with the motives, they understand what they want the end result to be. Alright, and therefore they don't absolutely hate the villain necessarily because they agree with what he wants to achieve, they just don't agree with the motives. Just like Pain, alright? Really, I think that's the deepest type of villain you're going to get. And I think that's the best kind of villain as well. Now, obviously not every villain has to be awe-inspiringly deep. But you know, Pain was a rare example where he was one of the deepest villains I've ever met in anything, or ever seen in anything, ever, alright? And he's one of my favorite anime villains as well. Yeah, but that's about it though. This did drag on for quite a while actually because I was reading off the article. But post your comments down in the comment section below on what you think the best type of villain is, and tell me some of your favorite villains from an anime, from a movie, from a video game, from a TV show, from a cartoon, from a book, you know, whatever. Alright. And yeah, I guess that's about it for this video though. I hope you enjoyed it, guys. See you after, guys. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.